Hello everyone and welcome to this live stream. Today we are celebrating the feature complete crystal and I'm very excited to tell you about the story about the Pimax Crystal. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Reinhard Roscher. I'm a master builder and owner of my company, the Cut Forge Inc. I started with the Oculus DK2 and own most of the popular headset like you can see here. And like most of you, I'm very, very excited if new hardware is announced and even better if new hardware is already available. So since 2017, I'm using VR in my daily work, and when I'm not working, I also use VR for gaming. So I think I'm living a good life. In November 2022, people could already test the Pimax Crystal at the Pimax Roadshow. In January 2023, visitor at the CES could already take a look at the crystal. And I was one of the first pre-orderer, and I have the crystal now for 4 months, and it was a very exciting journey so far. Also, I was privileged to use most of the features up front with the beta testers. And yeah, we sort out many bugs and we gave so much feedback to Pimax. And today I'm going to talk about some users who had the same experience and had the same journey with me. But before I start with the interview, I have to say thank you to Pimax for not letting PCVR down, for creating such a great device, and to all the beta testers out there who found so many bugs that regular users don't have to deal with them. So thanks again. And now I will introduce my first guest. It is Philip, and I will bring him right up front in the stream. So I will just make a short introduction. So Philip, you are a passionate VR flight sim guy. I know you for your very, very famous dynamic for VTED rendering video with quad view. Very nice, and you make such great tutorials. So every newbie with the crystal is able to use the device right up front. So thank you for that. And before we start the interview, I will go to my next guest. It is Matthias. He's known as EtherTHEGame. So there he is.
Hello, everybody.
So Matthias, believe it or not, he also have a YouTube channel, and he also participated in the Pimax Crystal completion software program. And he helped a lot of users to sort out bugs and take like the threshold of getting to start with the Pimax Crystal. And yeah, we will later talk about that in detail. And my next guest is a very special guest because we go way back, because we grew up together. We share an office. He is a software developer, so he's not into VR gaming. He only played like VR tennis and Half-Life Alyx, but he will have some very nice insights about what is it like to be a VR developer. So please please say hello to Rainer.
Hello, everybody.
And I think for the next and unfortunately last guest, I don't have to say much. His name is Josuha Son. He's the director of global communication at Pimax. So everybody knows him, and later he will tell us all about the future of Crystal and maybe some interesting stuff as well. So hi, Josh.
Hello, everyone. How are you doing today?
Absolutely fine. So unfortunately, like I said, our small round of streamers, YouTubers, and Crystal users are complete now because VR Flight Sim Guy and Immersed Robots, they couldn't join, but check them out. They're having so much great content on their YouTube channels. I will put that everything in the description later on. So I will start with who I choose. I will choose Matthias. So Matthias, could you please tell us something about your experience? Why did you choose the Pimax Crystal? What was your Your experience with the product.
Yeah, the Pimax chose me, not I'm the crystal. um, with Error TV, with Sebastian, I have the chance to get in crystal, and he helps me and make the connection to Pimax. And yeah, I got a crystal to testing and using it for Try My Tech. But everybody knows Try My Tech. And yeah, the first impression was it's a big headset, but a nice headset. And I think it's a beautiful headset, like the image. And yeah, the first unboxing was nice. And the first impression, like I said, was very exciting. And yeah, for me, it's a beautiful headset. It's a perfect and the best image, actually. And I love to play with the Pimax.
Very nice. So I know you from the Crystal Complete software Discord. You're
Yes.
like a VR guru there. So you help many people to start it with the crystal. If there was something with the connection, or how long do I have to press the button to start the device or to switch off the device? So
Yes.
sometimes I thought like you never sleep, because every time I thought, okay, I will write some comment about this. You were like 5 minutes ahead of me. So very good job here. And uh, I think many users are very grateful that you did such a good job.
Yeah, I
And
think, okay. Yeah,
no, it's fine.
and for me, it's like with the most headset out there on PC VR, it takes time to know the headset, like it works, and it's for me, it's like the same every headset. You need time to check everything, and when it works really good and fine. And like I said, I got many problems with other headsets, and it was the same way for me. And I think for the most out there people, you just
Yes,
must to know the headset and take your time with it. It's PC VR, it's not PSVR 2 or Oculus and Meta. It's standalone VR headset. It's a PC VR headset. You need the time, take the time, and then you get the best experience.
that's well said. So I will switch to Philip. He's known as TallyMouse. And yeah, it is basically the same question. What do you like about the crystal? Why do you bought the crystal? I think you bought it. Or
Correct.
do you, yeah, like everybody?
Exactly like everybody. So apart from a number of headsets that were not strictly PCVR, for example, the Quest 2, which you have the link cable, I soon started to realize that it felt like I was trying to fly while looking through a pair of toilet rolls at what appeared to be a very 1990 image. And it's more because those headsets were made to be standalone. They were made for a different market. And, fortunately, there was some form of linkage cable to allow you to use it with PCVR. So the first Pimax headset that I purchased was the 8K Plus, which was mind-boggling with FOV and everything else. But as was just mentioned, you do have to tinker with these things. It's such cutting edge technology that you need to be patient enough to play with your settings. And I don't have to tell anybody else that, if you go Googling and looking all over DCS forums or Microsoft Flight Simulator forums, you'll find 80% of people are tinkering and playing and trying to squeeze the most out of it. I then moved from the 8K Plus to the 8KX and got the hand tracking module for that as well. And that opened up a whole new world of visuals. And so I got to the point, even with my GPUs, that I realized to make the next quantum leap, I would have to go down the whole eye tracking path. And so while waiting, obviously the aero was there, and the aero visuals and the eye tracking is great. But I would say that from a flight sim perspective, it's more like that you're at the movies and you've got this widescreen feel to it. So you still end up having to move your head around, and the eye tracking doesn't always work. It would switch on and off generally, but that could have been a user error on my behalf. And so when the Crystal came up, the way that I looked at it was, I'm going to get something which is kind of a blend in a way between, what I wanted the 8KX to do, maybe not with the FOV, but I would have eye tracking. I'd have side-to-side clarity, and I've got to say that the Pimax really delivered on that. I mean, the quality of the lenses and the visuals of what you get, because it's still an 8K headset, right? And so I was lucky enough to be invited to the beta group because I wanted to get to test out the eye tracking functionality and other functionality early on. And as in with all beta software, of course, people have some issues with it, and a lot of it is just understanding how to debug. And Pimax were excellent at listening to the feedback. In fact, I remember on a couple of occasions where feedback was given directly, there was a new sub-firmware put out to the beta group within a couple of days that immediately tried to fix that. And it was a good group of people that were there primarily to try and iron out the beta so it could get released to the public. And I think the original release date was meant to be the 15th of September. And I think to the surprise of most people, except the people at Pimax, it was released on the 11th of September. And that brought the majority of the base unit functionality to the Crystal. And I've got to say, ever since then, and ever since I had the beta, everything has just worked perfectly. Every time I turn it on, it just works. I've been testing out the 72 Hertz alpha, and the 72 Hertz mode runs absolutely solidly, and hopefully very soon that will be released to the general public. And
Yes,
as a flight simmer, this is just fantastic. And I don't want to hog the time, but I wanted to mention something. I was working on a video last night, and there was a mission that I'd built for myself about 2 years ago, and it was a Battle of Britain. And I had all of these Junkers 88 flying in a colossal formation across the channel. And people in DCS will know that the channel map isn't the world's most optimized, VR optimized map to begin with. And I'd eventually just given up on it because at the time I had I think a 3080 and I had the 8KX and there was no eye tracking. And I could fly this thing beautifully and it was pure eye candy. Imagine June of 1940. And I go flying in to try and take an attack on these bomber formations. And the next thing I know, I'm down to 1 or 2 frames a second because I had everything cranked up.
That is the PowerPoint experience.
Exactly. And by the time, the video would come back, I was either dead or I'd somehow was through the bomber group and it was hopeless. So I gave up on it. So I decided to go back. Now I have a 4090 and try it again with exactly the same settings. And I've tried it with the 8KX and I've tried it with the Crystal. And going back to the 8KX, I realized very quickly that the FOV of the 8KX isn't actually considerably that much larger than the Crystal. I just remembered it being. And so I could swap backwards and forwards on this mission between the 8KX and the Crystal. But the one thing I can tell you is the Crystal, you just read every single dial without reshade, without tweaking. It just works. And it's absolutely fantastic. And also the frame rate, because of the DFR, is a giant leap. And it's suddenly made a lot of what used to be very difficult flight simulator experiences now become very practical. And it just makes it work. And for that, I'm delighted because now I'm getting very, very close to the experience I've always wanted since I was a kid of flight simulation. We're here. It's fantastic.
It is funny that you say it's like when you were a kid, because in so many games I have the same experience. Like when I started with Commodore, Amiga, and then my first PC and PlayStation 1, etc. I never got that feeling back. And with the Crystal, and even with the DK2, I got the feeling like, man, it is such a great technology, and I want to spread it out in the world. And so I can absolutely relate to that feeling. And so you are using the Crystal for flight simming. So I think this is a very, very nice use case. But in terms of use case, I will now ask you, Rainer, because you are not a gamer, you're a VR developer. We share our office, and I can see you're at the office right now, so don't work too hard. But I showed you the Crystal, and we tried the Crystal with your software. So could you please maybe just explain how your software is working and why it's such a great opportunity that the software is working with the Crystal?
Yeah. Hey, my name is Rainer. I just tell you before something about my company. So I started in 2016 when VR was pretty new in the market, and it was not that quite easy in the beginning because nobody knew something about VR. So I was the guy with the ski goggles on ferries and that stuff, and standing around and telling everybody that VR is pretty cool. And over the last 7-8 years, it became really normal in companies. So I work in XR with businesses, a lot of businesses, so in the automotive industry, in the building industry, so educations, museums, and we are building apps for them. And for me, it's also very important to have good hardware because they are asking me because I give recommendations, I give hardware recommendations. And for me, it's very important that the product like the Crystal simple works. You know, like TallyMouse says, I want to plug it in, I have my tracking and all of that, and it has to work. And otherwise they call me, and I'm not Pimax, you know, they call me and say, okay, it doesn't work, what do I have to do, and all that kind of stuff. So for me, this is the most important stuff. And over the last year, we developed a software called Mesh Loader. And Mesh Loader is specially made for design reviews, which means when you're building a house in 3D or having a use case or having an automotive factory or whatever, you just take the 3D model, put it into our software, and you can walk through in VR instantly. So this is like a VR viewer for instant doing design reviews. And also we have very, very low things to do, that the Crystal works with our software, and this shows that the product is working. And this is very, very, very important for us as software developers. So we work with Unreal Engine, and Unreal Engine works with Crystal.
That is very nice to hear. So I already tested the Crystal with your Mesh Loader software, and the funny thing is, we are all like PC VR enthusiasts, and of course we like lighthouse tracking, but in your case, lighthouse tracking is kind of a bummer because mostly of the time you're giving presentations somewhere, then the space is not big enough, and so you have to tinker with the lighthouse tracking, you have to travel with the lighthouse tracking. So I think that the inside-out tracking with the Crystal is a real benefit for your use case, because I know how hard it is to show somebody who is not into VR, like, this is the Pimax Crystal, this is Lighthouse, please go and make a presentation with the Crystal and Lighthouse. So
exactly, this is a good point, because when you're not a gamer, you don't have this gaming room where the lighthouse tracking is perfectly set up or whatever. So I'm on the road every day, which means I have presentations every day. I have to go to the companies, I meet different people. So when I go there, I take my laptop and plug in the VR headset, and it just has to work. Otherwise, everybody is getting nervous of my customers, because when it doesn't work when I do it, then they say, okay, when I have a presentations or my accounting guys or whatever is showing VR to our customers and it's hard to do, then they will not do it. So it has to be easy.
Yes, and I remember one funny presentation we had in our office. So oh, my mouse just stopped working. Really? That is the best time for a battery to die. So just give me a second. Of course. Yes, this is
Reinhardt's
live.
just nipping to the store. He'll be back momentarily.
All right.
20 minutes later.
Very nice. It is.
Share that.
It is working. Just let me go back to Restream. So,
all right. So it sounds like you guys all have some pretty fantastic experience. TallyMouse, you have had, I mean, just a ton of flight sim experience. It seems like our Crystal really makes it a really awesome headset for you. The use of dynamic foveated rendering really brings you back into some of those experiences you were kind of missing out on with our AKX, especially back when you had that 3080. And then Reiner, I mean, you're correct, absolutely. We do need to focus on making things easy for users. Whenever people are making use of the product, have to be simple. And that's one of the considerations we had whenever we decided to go with the Reality series, the implementation of the SoC in the headset. Having the XR2 processor in there and the implementation of an Android-based standalone mode really gives us the ability to put something that is easier and more accessible there on the table while still having access to those high-resolution displays. You can't always run a game, obviously at that nearly 4K by 4K resolution, but whenever you have something that's a lot lighter, such as a video or a 3D model, you really are able to take advantage of that high resolution display and those high quality lenses. If you're doing something like what you're doing, importing meshes into the headset, to show off 3D models for people. I think that really a big focus for us moving forward is simplifying things and making it easier and more accessible for users.
So yeah, coming back to the questions, Matthias, what would you change if you were in the possibility to change something about the crystal?
Yeah, this USB hub.
Okay.
Yeah, this was the first problem that I have with the crystal, and now I don't use it, and everything works perfect for me. Maybe it's my system, I don't know, but without it, it works perfect. The connection is every time when I put it on the crystal, it works perfect. But sometimes with the USB hub, I got some issues, and I think that would I change.
Okay, very nice, very nice.
Yeah, we're working on an addendum to the hub, so we're hoping to be able to start sending those out to people soon. Right? Ditch that little micro USB connection.
Mm-hmm.
Told them not to.
Okay, Philip.
Yeah, but okay.
What would you, if you could change something?
I would say there's two things. One of them's already been mentioned, and I think looking back at least of the interaction between users who were not in the beta testing group and people who were just starting to receive their crystals, a lot of, probably 80%, I know that's a number I've just pulled out of the air, but that's how it feels. 80% of issues that people were having, if they did have an issue, were related to not necessarily even just the USB hub, it'd be their USB setup. And I think the reason is that something to remember about the crystal, it's a very sophisticated instrument for that. If you look at it like that, there are a number of USB devices inside it. So when you connect it to your system, you got to realize that you're adding between 4 and 6 USB devices suddenly into your system. And if you've been very lackadaisical about the way you've connected USB devices to your computer in the past, you might suddenly run into this issue where they all don't happily play well together because there's too many. But these can always be fixed by just reading your motherboard user manual and understanding what different types of USB ports do and just rearranging USB ports. And for the most part, it makes everything suddenly just work properly. The only other thing I'd like to change, which hopefully is a quick software fix, is that every time you turn your Pimax on, it doesn't ask you to calibrate the room.
Yeah, that's right.
Mm.
Just forget about it.
Or at least have an option where you can turn that off in the settings and just say, look, I'm good, thanks.
Oh, we've heard a couple of people bring that up, so we're taking a look at it. And recently testing our new 72 hertz firmware, and I definitely found that to be a little bit of an annoyance. Every single time I swapped, between different firmwares, I'm sitting there playing with settings, and just reset the calibration, reset the calibration, reset the calibration. It gets a little bit annoying after a bit. So I'm definitely on them about it over here too.
Yeah, if I could change one thing, I think it also would be the the calibration. But so far, I'm pretty blessed with the crystal. I had not many issues, and I have to say the issues I went into, they're pretty made by myself, because actually my whole YouTube channel started with getting the Pimax Crystal, and I looked at the parcel and I said to myself, I could do an unboxing. And I did the unboxing, and I thought, like, yeah, that is easy. Like in 10 minutes, the video is done. And 5 hours later, I was with the camera settings and everything. So the funny thing is that everything worked out. It was not something that I didn't run into any big problems. But of course, I started with the whole YouTube game. I started to review, like, comparing the crystal with an Aero or with the G2 and everything. So, like most of the VR fans, I have not just one VR device, I have like all of them. And I'm like a software messy. So I don't deinstall many PC VR clients. So I have all the Pico clients, and I have all the Meta clients and everything. And I realized that this is like the overkill for your VR experience, because it took me nearly a day to get the G2 running, and I know that my HB Reverb G2 it worked every day, and it did a very good job, and I don't believe that it is broken. So I found out that the whole thing with having Vive Pro client, having G2 client and everything is very interfering with one another, and I think that is something you should take in mind when you're having more VR devices. So yeah, that's basically something. It is not Pimax's fault; it is my fault. But that is my bad experience with PC VR, and yeah, so. Rainer, maybe you can tell us what funny hardware stories you have when you're giving clients something like a recommendation of hardware, and what's happening then.
Yeah, I would love to have such a stop updating button from every software we use, because when you're at the presentation and you open up the laptop or the computer, there's a BIOS update, there's a Windows update coming up, and also all these updates of softwares, and then you're standing there, you don't have good internet, and you have to wait for 10 minutes or whatever. This is like the horror scenario when you have a presentation, and yeah, this would be nice. Otherwise, USB disconnection while using the headset and all that kind of stuff, that was mostly 4 or 5 years ago. It happened that often at this time, but this is really annoying if you have really on point the presentation and the hardware and software doesn't work. Yeah, what funny stuff do we have? Of course, people are jumping around when they use VR for the first time. They are unplugging cables and they're pushing every button on the controller, and you can't believe what's going on when you do VR. A lot of VR presentation with people are not used to it. So you are used to it, and the VR community is used to it, but there's so much people which never saw VR before. So yeah. And of course, the crystal, this is the first time we have like the picture we wanted to have, you know. This is like when we started, it always were like people are saying, okay, I don't see it sharp or blah, blah, blah for design reviews or whatever. But now it's really like, this is not anymore. So the Pimax Crystal, the picture is perfect for us.
Yeah, I had the same experience that when I'm back then in 2016 and 17, when I showed doesn't matter which VR device, everybody was saying like, yeah, can you make it a little bit sharper? I want to see I want to see it clear. And I think the Aero and the Crystal, they achieved this. It is like in my opinion, I don't see pixels. I know there are users out there. They will they will even see when you're using 8K resolution. They already also will see pixels, but that is fine for me and for most of our clients. It is absolutely fine so far. So I have to look if I have all my questions done. So we're also like 30 minutes in the stream. Is there anything you would like to share? Like it is such a great experience that you want to spread it out in the world. It doesn't have to be with the crystal. It's just your first VR experience, or better when it's with the crystal.
There was one thing I wanted to mention, which I think was partly covered, but in various little sound bites earlier on. And a couple of weeks ago, I had it wasn't a faceplate failure, it was a base station failure. And I didn't realize that one of my base stations was broken because it was tracking, but not tracking. There was an internal error on the thing with the laser intermittently going in and out. And I only found out when my second base station actually broke. And I was flying in a sim and suddenly my head turned upside down and I ended up back in the crystal moonscape. And after 10 minutes, I'd realized what had happened with, plugging in my base stations into the PC and checking them out. And I was suddenly extremely grateful of having the inside-out tracking available again, because obviously it takes a few days at best to get new base stations, which I had to do. And the inside-out tracking, my sim rig is pretty much just a giant black blob with a black seat, black joystick. So it doesn't offer the best environment. So I went onto Reddit, went onto Google, and I saw other people had been asking about, how do you improve tracking with inside-out tracking, which is already excellent. And this would be with any inside-out tracking because it's using cameras. And I ended up just buying little stickers, the type of ones that you would, colored stickers that you'd put onto items if you wanted to put names or prices on things. And I strategically placed them around my sim pit, and it was to give high contrast targets for the inside-out tracking. And I actually found by doing that, just such a, $2 modification, the inside-out tracking was just as good as when I have when I have the base stations on, actually. It did a very, very good job of that. But again, I was thankful to have, even though I don't really use the standalone capabilities, and the fact that the XR2 is there for the standalone and allows that operability with the inside-out tracking is an absolute lifesaver when all of a sudden you have issues with your base station setup.
Yes, I know what you mean. It is like having a second possibility to track your device. It is, like you said, it is a lifesaver. And I can only speak for myself when I tell about most exciting moments in VR. That was like when I dropped my controllers on a virtual table because I didn't realize that the table isn't there, or when I'm playing some shooter game or something and I'm leaning against a virtual tree and then I'm falling like a cut tree. So yeah, that's the beauty of VR, and there are so many stories out there, and I can tell you a million about that. So to get to an end, Matthias, you already have a story about your crystal experience or a very unique VR experience?
Story. No, and I don't know. I just only what I can say to the crystal, to other VR headsets. Give all VR headsets a chance. We can be happy to have another PC VR headset, but the most of them go to standalone and take your time, try it out, search for help, and don't give too fast up with this device. But when you got it run and it works good, you have a beautiful experience. And for me, it's a very good headset and I love it. The quality of the picture And I think that people should just take the time with this device. But there are too many YouTubers out there and people who just try the headset for 1-2 hours or wait maybe one day and send it back and online destroy it in forums or Discord servers. And yeah, just take your time, try it out, give it a chance. And if you have problems, questions, every people who got a crystal and have some experience with it, and it's a very good headset for me.
Reinhard,
the
I
same.
wondered if I wondered if there'd be the opportunity to for Pimax to pick out just a few of the questions that have been in on this stream and answer some of them for the viewers.
Thank you for watching the stream, because like I said, it's my first live stream and I don't have the ability to do two things besides, so I didn't watch the chat like at all. So Joshua, you want to ask, you want to answer some of the questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
a real nice power move.
It's getting hard. It's getting hard.
Let's get into it. So let's start up. Oh, I've got a couple of new dropping in there right now. So Nestharis, they shouldn't have even talked about the 12K, and because they talked about the 12K, I think the crystal was a flop. Strong take. Strong take. I can't say I fully agree. Can't fully disagree either. We should save the talk at the 12K, but crystal's far from a flop. Let's see. Technic Chegger. Take the XR2 nonsense out. All the simmers tell you this, and you still insist on it. We have other products in the works. You might like a couple of them. Let's see. Audio latency. Can you give us some feedback on that from Darren Abrahams? Yes, so we did have trial software that implemented a short-term solution, a low latency audio mode. That's obviously just a quick patch, and that is not currently implemented on all of the official Pimax Play updates right now. We are currently investigating the best way for us to move forward with the audio latency issue, but that is currently a high priority fix that's going on over in the dev team just right down the hall. Let's see. We got, give me just a moment. Big FOV lenses and their PPD measurement. I am sorry to inform you, I cannot provide the exact PPD of the wide FOV lenses. However, I did try them just recently, and I actually have one sitting here in my hand. They're not significantly larger in any way than the standard lenses. The FOV, in my opinion, falls somewhere between the 5 to 10% larger than what you get with the standard ones. Now, that was the current set of distortion profiles, so I'm not sure exactly how much that's going to vary up or down, actually get them out. And I haven't been currently allowed to take them and pop them into a couple of pieces of testing software to get some more concrete numbers for you guys. But obviously, we'd really like to be able to do that for you as soon as possible. Let me see if there was anything else that we would get that I can find in here that I'd like to answer for you guys. Mixed reality faceplate. The mixed reality faceplate is currently still in development. However, it is slated for release after we finish the work on the large FOV lenses and the lighthouse faceplate. I also believe it's slated to come out after the Y gig, so you might be waiting a little bit longer, but I think that you're really going to appreciate the functionality once it gets here. I personally have been really excited about the mixed reality faceplate, and I've actually been running around all day today trying to encourage our dev team to speed up development on it, because I've been looking at the possibility of getting our headset potentially certified as part of a full sim rig for the FAA. The FAA certification requires not just a particular piece of hardware or software. It all has to be certified together And it'd be really cool if we could see our Crystal be the first VR headset certified as part of one of those setups. So that's something that I'm personally pushing for us to work on right now. And let's see. Nope, no price cut to $990, although that would be pretty nice. And 42 PPD lenses. I'm sorry, I don't have a current release date on those. I do know that most of the users who purchased the pre-orders did choose to make the swap over to the wide-angle lenses, though. And looks like about it. As for the mixed reality faceplate, you should see a little bit higher resolution than the cameras that are coming out of the Quest 3. Obviously, we're targeting a much higher resolution display to display that across. So we're hoping that we can get something better out of it than you're getting out of a $500 headset. Although the Quest 3 looks really cool. I might have to pick one up myself to play around with. I kind of like the orange one.
Don't buy the orange one. That's all I'm saying.
Don't buy the orange one. But orange and green, it kind of great if you're going to be going down the highway. Nobody's going to hit you. You'll just light up like a beacon. All those people who apparently use their headsets out and about with the wireless mode and the standalone. So we do get a lot of users who question why we decided to go ahead and implement standalone in the headset. I think that's something that really we should address. The Crystal is really a multi-purpose and general purpose VR headset. Not only do we target the gaming community, which we're happy to be a part of, we're always happy to see developers bringing new software over the platforms, over to Steam VR, supported through OpenXR, or to our standalone. But we're also really heavily integrated with quite a lot of businesses that use our headsets. And one of the number one use cases that we've had has required the implementation of standalone capabilities. Once you start sending these headsets out to training sites where people are planning to run a simulation on site with them, having to use base stations becomes a major hassle. It's a huge part of a setup process that can completely cut you out of a business's use cases entirely. We've had multiple companies tell us that if we didn't go ahead and create an option that allowed them to use camera tracking, they would stop using our products entirely. And our B2B business is a huge part of our overall sales. It was something that we had to take very seriously. However, we do also pay attention to our simulation and gaming customers, and we do have other options coming down the pipeline that we think are going to be really satisfactory for some of you guys. And 12K, don't expect a roadshow anytime soon.
So very nice. This, can we go on with the part 2 of our presentation? Because I don't think, are you having answered most of the questions?
I do believe that I've gone through just about everything down in there. And as an aside for you guys, just in case anyone wanted to check them out, we actually have some of those vanity faceplates from the Sim Edition available for you guys. So these should be going out to everyone quite soon. We have the Sunset Orange, the Red Racing faceplate, forget the name of the blue, and the Flash Green. So there's going to be really cool for those people who have decided to take advantage of the Sim Edition Crystal. And just in case anybody was worried, that 72 hertz refresh rate is going to be coming out to all of the Crystal models.
Already tried it. Works like a charm.
All right, awesome.
Well, I know from a fact that Matthias is like sitting on the edge. Matthias, is it safe to say that you're sitting on the edge and
Yes.
you will leave us right now?
Yeah, in the next 5 minutes, I think.
Okay, so this could be your big moment to say goodbye, or because now Joshua will go on with the presentation.
Okay, so thank you for all, and see you next time. It was a pleasure to be here with you guys and to the chat. So I sit here for 5 minutes and then I will go offline. Thank
Okay.
you. Bye bye.
Very nice. Thank you. So, Joshua, it is again your big moment.
All right, awesome. So we had the PPT. How to screen share? All right. So Reiner, if you could pop that up for me.
Yes, should already be here.
Yes.
All right. So just as everybody probably knows, recently we've been working on our complete software kit evaluation program. We had invited quite a lot of users in through some special Discord servers. They were given early access to the complete Crystal evaluation software. Now, this included access to our standalone functionality, eye tracking, and dynamic foveated rendering. Now, we've had a lot of success with this, and I believe that overall the performance has been really good. The crystal's developed into a incredibly functional headset with a wide variety of highly useful features, especially for those who are interested in PC VR and simulation especially. So if you would switch over to the next page for me, please. So first, we'd like to hand out our PIT coordinator certificates. So not only will we be announcing these here, but we'll also be sending these out to you guys. First, we'd like to award a certification to Reiner Rocher. Now, this is in recognition for your performance as a PIT coordinator in Crystal Complete Kit software evaluation program. Reiner, you were incredibly helpful. You were very active in our community. I really appreciate the work you did with us, and I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down with me today and take part in this live stream, and I appreciate you guys for having me here. It was really great of you. Now, Matthias, I'm sorry, I can't with the last name. But thank you very much for being a part of our program. Every single day you were in our groups, you were in our servers, letting us know how the performance was for you. And I really appreciate the time you took out of your day to make sure that we made a great experience for everyone who uses a Pimax headset. Now, Philip T, Mr. TallyMouse himself, you have been absolutely instrumental. Without the work that you've done creating videos on the dynamic foveated rendering, on the Discord, and on our Reddit page, I don't think that we could have had nearly as much success with the evaluation program as we did. You were an absolute lifesaver, especially even whenever there were questions that I wasn't able to answer. I was often able to reach out to you, and you were able to point me to community-generated resources that allowed us to get a customer back on track. That is an incredibly valuable thing that you do for us. We should honestly just, this certificate just isn't enough. And Godus, it's a shame that you aren't willing to share your name. I'll have to get it later and give you a handshake if we meet in person, but I do appreciate all the work that you've done with us. You were jumping into the Discord every single day, and despite a few difficulties here and there with the software and hardware, you were always very able and willing to work with us to get the product where it needed to be. You were absolutely fantastic, and really appreciate you for all your hard work. Aside from these, we had a large number of contributors in our Discord server, and I'd just like to take a moment, all of you, for being a part of the Pimax community. You are our Pimaxians, and we appreciate each and every one of you. Next page, please.
Well, the next page would be the question and answer page. So,
oh, yeah, no, not there.
now we are going into the good stuff. So you showed us just before the wide FOV lenses. That is basically fine, but when they are arriving here, can you set any time frame just to maybe disappoint me?
Unlike the rest of our company, I don't deal in time frames.
Oh,
Not happening. I don't do time frames.
Okay.
However, I can let you know that just 2 weeks ago, I had already tested out the wide FOV lenses. At that time, they had yet to start finalizing the distortion profile. Now, at that point in time, I was still seeing heavy chromatic aberration. There was still stretching out at the sides. There was still obvious distortion. And then, just a week or so ago, the very last day before our holiday started, they pulled me and the owner of our company, Robin, in to show us the newest distortion profile that they had just developed right before we all went on break. And I have to say, I was very impressed with what I saw. They're really pushing the panels to their limits with these new lenses. Resolution across the frame was very similar to what we see with the 35 ppd lenses. Now, obviously, we are providing a slightly larger FOV. We're expanding that. You're getting a little bit more on the horizontal and vertical axis. So because of that, the overall clarity will be a tiny bit lower than what you get with the 35 ppds. Obviously, expecting them to be just as clear when we're giving a larger FOV from the same panels wouldn't be quite reasonable. Physics, unfortunately, we're not able to violate those rules, pesky as they are. But I would say that based on my own personal testing, using the horseshoe in Brink Traveler as an example, which is what we use to just test the headset whenever we're throwing it on, checking to see how the distortion profiles are. We've got a couple of different things that they run over there. But comparing two headsets from the exact same position using both the 35 ppd and the wide FOV lenses, I saw with the current distortion profile, which is not yet finalized, somewhere around a 6 to 10% increase in your overall FOV on the horizontal axis, where I had fewer markers with which I could determine how much we were gaining on the vertical. I haven't been able to take the lenses into some proper testing software yet to determine how much we're actually getting in terms of FOV, but I think that people are generally going to be quite pleased with the improvement. It is noticeably larger, and the overall resolution is very similar. Chromatic aberration and distortion are both well controlled as well.
Okay, very nice.
I think that based on the current rate of the development, we should be sending these out to our initial alpha and beta testers very soon. I would expect them to see these things in their hands within next 1-2 months, possibly even by the end of the month.
Oh, okay. Very nice. I'm looking forward. So I'm very curious about PCVR wireless streaming. So we're talking about feature complete crystal, but honestly, without the PCVR wireless mode, I don't think the product is like 100% complete. So you have any thoughts about that?
So there are two different methods by which we can attain wireless VR. The one most people are probably familiar with if they have their own headsets at home would probably be wireless desktop, virtual desktop. We don't develop that application, obviously. But we have spoken with the developer, and he has expressed willingness to develop the app. However, he currently does not have a gap in his development schedule. We're currently talking with him about when that is going to open up. It looks like it's going to be sometime in the middle of next year. So we're going to keep reaching out with him, and hopefully around that time next year, we'll be able to get the first version of virtual desktop onto the Pimax store, allowing people an Wi-Fi 6E powered wireless streaming option. beyond that, we have our own WiGig module developed. Now, this is really where we're going to be pushing most customers towards. I mean, for one, you're going to get a better performance out of WiGig than you do get out of Wi-Fi 6E. The bandwidth is greater, you've got less latency, and two, it means we can sell you another thing, which we're always happy to do.
I own a company as well, so I know what you're talking about. So you already sold me the thing.
The WiGig is still in development. I've tested a little bit right now, but we're still stabilized. It's slated to be focused on after the wide FOV lenses and lighthouse faceplate are out the door and shipping normally. So once those two are out the door, we're going to have more resources to devote specifically to the WiGig module, and that'll be shipping out most likely before the mixed reality faceplate does.
Okay, very nice. So recently I got a new fiber optics cable, and the support wrote me like this cable is for using the crystal with higher refresh rates. Right now you're doing the exact opposite, which I totally understand, and I really like it because I tried the 72 Hertz mode myself, and it is a blessing for everybody who don't own a 4090. And even if you don't own even if you own a 4090, there are games like VR Chat, and everybody knows it, Microsoft Flight Simulator, which are so performance hungry that you are blessed with something like a 72 Hertz mode. So, but what about higher refresh rates? Can you tell me anything about it?
The higher refresh rate modes beyond 120 Hertz are supported by the panels. So those panels that we have in the Crystal, I believe, are capable of up to 160 Hertz refresh rates. The issue with attaining those is the sync between the backlights and the actual panels themselves. So those mini LEDs, in order for us to enable the local dimming, have to be synced with the content that's being showed on screen. If there's any discrepancy, you end up with issues like ghosting, which can obviously hamper the customer's experience while using the headset. And this is why we've been focusing more on the lower refresh rate, where we see a lot of sim users, quite frankly, demanding it so they can get the best performance out of their rigs, instead of pushing towards those higher refresh rates. Now, in most titles, you're probably not getting significant gains in overall performance in terms of gameplay performance past that 120 Hertz. You're really running into a couple specific titles, such as Beat Saber, where you're really starting to take advantage of those really high refresh rates once you get up to 144 or possibly up to 160 if we're able to get that working. Now, there's a possibility that we may be able to get those refresh rates working on the Crystal, but without enabling the local dimming simultaneously. So that's what we're hoping to avoid. We'd like to keep the local dimming working in every single mode. And I believe that it would be a real shame if we have to release a high refresh rate mode without the local dimming enabled. It would really be kind of a damper on my mood personally.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very good explanation. So for the next question, I'm using the Crystal right now with an Apache strap. So the comfort is even better. I think for me, the comfort is very, very nice. I'm not a VR chat guy, and I don't hop around in my office or in my apartment when I'm playing VR. But I know some people are playing VR chat, and they're playing VR chat for like 10 or 14 hours. I met a guy, I helped him to set up his Crystal, and he told me that he's playing for 10 to 14 hours. He's a dancer in VR chat. And will there be another strap, like a comfort strap or something in the future?
The Crystal's current strap has the battery integrated into the back. So if we were to release a new strap, that would require users to separate the battery pack out from the strap, remove those straps, and replace them. There's also the issue that the audio cable routes directly into the crystal. On our 8KX, those were both, I believe, 3.5 millimeter audio
Yes, absolutely,
jacks
yeah.
on the left and right side, which I really liked as a solution. So unfortunately, the crystal does not have those 3.5 millimeter audio jacks. So if you were to remove them, you've got to pull out the clips on the sides up on the headphones through the sides of the strap. It is possible we could release a new strap, and I believe we've been throwing around the idea of redesigning the strap for the 12K, but we haven't come to any concrete decisions on that just yet. I'm really surprised to hear that he's wearing the headset for a straight 14 hours dancing. That is absolutely impressive. I can pull off, 3 to 4 hours jumping around into the thing and, a couple of active games, but 14, that is crazy. That's all. I mean, it's cool. I'm glad he enjoys his headset for 14 hours a day.
Absolutely. I also think it's amazing that people are sleeping in VR chat and like doing so many great things together. I have to say I never tried VR chat because time is a factor. But there was one really nice compliment he made about the product. He said like, since I got the Crystal, it feels like I'm playing VR Chat 2.0 because everything is so sharp. It looks like hand painted, and that is. I think it is a very good statement. And he also very likes the index, and he uses 6 Vive trackers for the perfect tracking. So of course he's using the Lighthouse faceplate, and this I really want to meet him in person and see his setup. So. You know why it would be awesome to have this experience with YGig, because then there is no cable and then he can do backflips and whatsoever.
That would be really cool. I'd like to try to do a backflip in the Crystal.
There's what's it
a lot
called?
Of power users, but that's definitely 14 straight hours. Does he live stream this anywhere? Can we link this? Can we watch him?
I don't know. I never got down in the VR chat rabbit hole, but there are definitely people who are streaming this 100%.
Oh, that is absolutely.
Most of the VR chat users told me, you have to get somebody to know VR chat, and then it is like going into the super secret club, and there is a community who looks out for each other. So VR chat, I think it's the same with everything. You have to try it, and you have a person who really gives you the best experience and how to start. Because for me, the same is with VR flight sim and also VR racing. You have to know what you're doing, because it is not like plug and play. And that is something most people are, I think, in my opinion, most people are afraid of to try. And like I said, time is a factor, because I would love to do many more hours in VR, but I simply can't do it. So
I think this is one of the interesting things about VR in general. It's kind of this duality between these super simple experiences like Beat Saber and Pistol Whip or Ping Pong, where it's something anyone can pick up and enjoy right away with almost no explanation. It just works, but it's not the deepest, most involved experience. And then the other side of the coin is something that is just so absolutely time and life consuming that you almost have to dedicate yourself to it. Picking up a flight sim means learning to fly an actual plane. That is the bar, the standard for entering flight simulation. You either know how to fly a plane, or you are going to learn how to fly a plane. That is crazy. There's no game out there that has that sort of skill cap right there. I mean, you are gatekeeping people simply by existing. And this is why I've, for quite a while now, I've really started to view our headsets more like tools than as toys, which I think that they're kind of widely considered. I view VR as this incredibly functional lens through which you can see the world in a very particular light and guide yourself towards a very particular conclusion. You will go into it knowing exactly what you want to achieve out of it, and you're going to have an incredible experience with our headsets. But if you go into it and you're just kind of, going from one thing to another without much direction, then the image might not be so clear. And that's been kind of a pivot point for me in my thinking and the way that we and our company are just kind of viewing the market and viewing our products and our company as a whole, is this kind of direction that we want to go in. I think that VR has a lot to offer the world. I think it's got a lot to offer people at home. I think it's got a lot to offer the people in the chat right now. I think a lot of the people here know exactly what it offers them. And I think they know what it can offer to the people around them as well. And I think that our headsets offer more to the customer at a better price than any other out there. Matter of fact, we've still got a deal on our website. We've got the last day of Golden Week. We've still got that free shipping deal going on. So you guys make sure check that out. You go ahead and share that in the chat. We've got some links for you guys.
Yeah, it is also the. Do you see the screen? I think you mean the Crystal Sim Edition with free shipping.
Yes, sir. This Crystal Sim Edition with free shipping. Now that's only lasting through the end of the day. So we've got that just for today only. After that, the free shipping deal does end. And we also have our Discord server. If you guys want to reach out to us through our Discord or go check out our Discord, we're going to be posting periodic deals and promotions through there. So that's a really great way to get a hold of us. And you can also check out our Pimax Experience Centers. We are constantly working on expanding our Experience Center program, giving people the opportunity to try our products before they buy. We understand that jumping into a high quality and high cost tool like the Pimax Crystal can be a little bit daunting. Therefore, we give our customers the opportunity to jump into it and see what all the fuss is about.
Very nicely said. So I think everybody saw the QR codes now, so I will close this. And yeah, the funny thing is we said like the presentation and the meeting will last maybe 30 to 40 hours, and I see we are like 1 hour and 10 minutes in. So very good. There is so much to talk about, and I could talk for hours and hours straight when it's going when the topic is VR. I just want to say that sometimes I hear people say like VR is dead, or VR there is no progress or something. But like Rainer said, I will just take all of you back inside the chat. Sorry for not telling you this, but it is, in my opinion, it is absolutely not that, because we have so many business use cases, and that's what you said, Joshua, that it is not only like you develop a product just only for gaming. So this is not a PlayStation, and yeah, so I totally understand the standalone mode, and maybe when we get the YGig or PCVR wireless streaming, this will be a game changer. And so I only have one question, or it's a very delicate question. So the 12K with the Crystal, you did a very, very good thing, in my opinion. It was the roadshow. So you you had the opportunity to show people the device that is already existing, even in a pre-state. So, are you planning to do something similar with the 12K?
Sorry, I was going through a couple of the comments back there. Could you
Oh yeah,
please
you can just answer the comments. It's no problem.
Yeah, so let me go through, if you guys don't mind, I'm going to go through a couple more of these questions that we had popped up. The wide FOV lenses are made of glass. Thank you for asking the question, Technic Chegger. The Y-Gig, yes, will function without the DisplayPort connection. You don't need the DisplayPort to connect it when you're using the Y-Gig module. Technic Checker said, Joshua, you haven't spoken to Guy for months, and the fact is you haven't contacted Guy for a long time. That's incorrect, actually. I was speaking to Guy. Let me see if I can find him in here. Just about a week ago. We were talking to him about sending him a crystal unit, and I was asking him whether or not he would like us to send him one now or wait when we have the Y-Gig and all the other available features available. I don't know whether or not having the Y-Gig available would be interesting to him whenever it comes to the development, but he told me that he doesn't have any time to develop the VR virtual desktop application for at least the next 8 months. But thank you very much for your input. I really do appreciate it. Thank you very much. Let's see. For the 12K, we still haven't finalized the head strap, Mr. Paul Tuff. So we will get back to you guys with details on that once it's closer to finalization. Give me just a moment. The wide FOV lenses, if you purchase them initially as part of a pre-order deal where we gave customers the option to change from the 42 ppd lenses over to the wide angle lenses, cost I believe it was $50 is what we charged for that upgrade, and I do believe we'll be charging 150 USD for them if purchased separately, but don't quote me on it. It might be cheaper. And I believe that that's it. Now, if I could please get your question again, we'll go back to that.
So I don't know if you can hear the bells outside because I live near a church and okay, then my microphone is doing a very good job because it's a shotgun mic and okay. I will just try to get the screen back. Very nice. Yeah, I really love the idea of the roadshow because there is nothing better to present a product than showing it to the users and the potential buyers. So are you going to do this with the same like with the Crystal, for example, the roadshow, and even then with like Try My Tech? Because I think that is such a great way to bring the product nearer to the customer, because you have the guys like we all who are into tech and trying to get the best experience out, because when I'm going to a hardware store in my vicinity, I know they even definitely don't know about VR, so I will get a very bad experience.
It's absolutely true. PC VR is still complicated regardless of which headset you're using. Even the simplest of experiences in PC VR is still PC gaming, and PC gaming isn't exactly the most approachable beast out there. As for a roadshow, we do have interest in continuing our roadshows. We hope to continue doing those on a regular basis. Currently, the 12K isn't ready just yet to start taking it out and showing it around. We are hoping that we'll be able to do the first demonstrations at CES this year, but it's just going to depend on the production schedule. So we may have something there, we may not. We also have a couple of other things in development, so we might have something else taking the show for CES this year. And you guys will have to stay tuned, come out and visit us at the booth if you can. We actually purchased an even bigger booth this year than we had last year. We already had the largest VR specific booth ever to happen at a CES event. And this year's is, I believe, nearly 3 times the size that we had last year. So I'm fighting for us to put some really interesting displays up there. So we'll see what we can get going on for you guys. As for later on, I think that the Try My Tech program would be really interesting to work with. I'll have to talk to Sebastian about the possibility of getting a couple of 12K units out there for people to try it. But I think that that's going to have to wait until it is in a better state. I think the one issue with the road shows that we saw earlier was then really just overall our particular execution of it. You know, whenever we went out and did these road shows and were showing the products off to people, we hadn't really had much experience with doing this the first time around. I think that there's a lot that could have been done better. I think that we could improve the customer experience. I think we could have had not just the product itself, but also ourselves more prepared whenever it came to performing those road shows. I'm really looking forward to how we're going to be able to expand and improve upon that program in the future. So yeah, I think you guys definitely going to have to look out for more road shows coming on your way. We even bought a whole RV in the U.S. that we've got for riding around there doing shows too. So hopefully I don't have to drive that thing all the way across the U.S. again.
Yeah,
but if I have to, I will.
You should also buy a Pimax food truck.
Pimax food truck. What would we serve? Okay, so shoot some ideas into the comments below. If we run a Pimax food truck where you get to try the 12K plus eat some of my cooking, what would you like to eat?
Oh, very nice. It's very tempting. Well, yeah, it is very nice that you just give me the information or give us the information about the 12K, because I think everybody is so eager to have more information about the 12K. And yeah, if it's possible to test the device this year, it would be amazing. So I'm really looking forward for it.
I'm really fighting for us to have the first demos out at CES, but we'll see what they're willing to give me. The tech guys they're being stingy with this one.
I can relate to that. So yeah, if you want to share other secrets or something, this is the time now. Otherwise, I have to call it a day.
I think that I'm just about all secreted out, but I've actually really enjoyed my time here today. I'm really happy to hear you guys all have such positive impressions of the product. I'm with all of you. I think it is a really great product. I think that we had a little bit of an initially rough launch with the Crystal. Mostly those were probably just execution issues on our behalf, things that we could improve on in the future. And it's nice to see that despite those kind of initial difficulties that we have some really fantastic users. We've got business users, we've got companies making use of the product, and we've got general users who are out here in the community helping each other have a really great experience. I think it's just really awesome to see, and I'm really happy to be a part of it.
There is nothing more to say, I guess.
That's it.
So yeah, I think we call it a day because it's getting dark outside and I see my camera is fighting with the light. And
yeah, it's gotten dark here. It's past midnight.
Oh, then okay. But sometimes I think Pimax employees are like vampires, because I think you don't need sleep at all, because it doesn't matter when I write you on Discord. It doesn't matter if it's Sally or Ying. I immediately get a response. So that is
we don't need sleep, but we do need food. So I got to get out of here and go have some duck blood.
Okay. Okay, yeah, Rainer, Joshua, TallyMouse, Philip, now I get the name right. Thank you for participating in my first live stream. Yeah, I think it went pretty smooth, and yeah, if not, so you have to deal with it because it's already done.
I think it went pretty well. I enjoyed it. I think you guys did a great job. It's all y'all's first live stream.
I had
I
to
think you guys did a
change
great
my
job.
mouse during the stream because the other mouse didn't work.
Mm.
That's the beauty
Yeah,
of a live stream and a live event. So yeah, then let's call it a day. Thank you to all
right.
VR enthusiasts out there. We will see you really soon, and thank you for participating in the stream. Goodbye.